Welcome to Rain. Rain is a fun Machiavellian card game for all ages. The object of Rain is fairly simple. You want the crown. You want to be the regent. But to be the regent, you have to do a few things. To start off with, you need to get noble influence. No point just being a peasant, is there? So the first phase of the game, of each round, is to bid for one of these noble houses. The second phase of the game is of the people with the noble houses. They fight it out to see who gets to be the regent for this round. And you build up your armies, you get people to support you, maybe they'll backstab you, but you've got to take that risk. And you fight it out, see who has the biggest army. Biggest army for that round takes the crown, and they get to be the regent for the next phase. Why would you support the regent, however? Well, if you become the regent, you get 3 victory points, which goes towards winning the game. And if you support the right regent, you also get some victory points. You get 2. But if you don't support them, you get nothing. So you better be on the right side. Now the way you win the game is to have 9 victory points and the crown. There can only be one winner. So let's look at it in a bit more depth. Rain begins with this influence phase where we bid for these houses. So say there's 5 houses in play and we're playing a 4-player game. So we have some people bidding for houses and one person bids for the blue house, and you normally bid face down. So one person bids for the blue house, one person bids for the red house, another person bids for the red house, and someone else bids for the gold house. So we turn these all face up and we see, there are 2 people fighting over the red house, so the stronger bid, which was a 4 over the 1, that takes the red house. There was only 1 bid for the gold house and 1 bid for the blue house, so they're in play, and the other 2 houses, they're out of play for this round. Gets burnt, they all died, such a shame. So 3 players had a house and 1 player missed out on the red house. Now we get to the plotting phase, where we put military units into these houses. And the way it works is, you go around twice. First of all, you can put up to 1 card face up. And the second time, you can put up to 2 cards face down into multiple people's houses. But the last card you play is the person that you're backing. So you might start putting good cards into your house and then realise, there's a better army over there and I really want my 2 points for backing the winner. So I'm going to jump ship and jump on their side instead. The last card you play, that's the person you're backing. And if they win, you get 2 points. So, first of all, we go around and we play 1 card face up, and you normally play your strongest card face up. So say the red person, they put a 5, because that's a really good card, and that's face up. And then the gold person has a 5. And the green person, the blue person, they've got 1. They've got a 1, but it's a special one. It's one of these special cards. Now what happens is, there was a 4th player here, but normally they sit out in this first part because they're trying to see who has the best army and who's going to give them the best deal. Remember that you have the spoils of war if you win, which is equal to the number of players, so you normally promise 1 or 2 of those to people if they're going to support you. So now everyone goes around a second time and puts some extra cards, and we'll just deal like 2 randomly. And let's say that this blue house, it got support from the 4th player, so it gets an extra 2 cards. But instead of being army cards, let's say that the last player, they had 2 event cards. And remember, we said normal event cards were good, and we're going to play them into this army. But before we do, remember the order that you play them is important. So if we have a betrayal event card, say the 4th player didn't like the red person because they stole the red house off them. They play a betrayal card face down into the red person's army, and you'll shuffle it all up so you don't know who gave you what. And then the 4th player gives them their last card, so they're backing them. In this case, you now resolve all the cards and you count up the strongest points and they will be the winner. But there's a few extra rules to determine how we do this. First rule is, if your card is the same colour as the house you put it in, you get a bonus of 2. So this 5 is now worth 7 because it's a red 5 in the red house. But this is the blue house with a red 5, so it's still just worth 5 points. So currently, I'm winning. What a surprise. So that's the first rule. The second rule is, if you have if you have any military units that have a special ability, they resolve first. And so we start with the first player, say it's the red house, and we go around and resolve any military units with a special event. And the only player who has a military card with a special is this blue house. They have a skirmisher, which means you can move one event card around. So say they stole an event card from another player, or they put a betrayal card on another player. They move it around. So after we've resolved all the units with the special ability, we go around a second time and resolve all the good event cards. So here's a good event card. It says place 2 military units from the draw pile into this army. So we just randomly draw the top 2 cards and they go into this army as well. Which is amazing because we've accidentally picked up a bear cavalry, which its special ability says +4 if it's the only bear cavalry. And it is the only bear cavalry, so instead of being a 5, it's a 9. But it's a bear cavalry which is blue inside the blue house. So that's a bonus of 2. So instead of being 5, this is 11. And this house wins. So, the 2 players that back to this house, the king or the regent, they get 3 points. And the person who backs them, they get 2. And everyone else gets nothing.
Let's say that I lost because that day it got thrown back to me and Frostreeve won the day. They get the crown. All hail Frostreeve. Not really, but we'll get our chance.
Now what you do, at the end of every round, we'll scrap all these cards. And everybody gets either 3 military cards or 2 military cards and 1 event card. And the king, or the regent, gets a bonus equal to the number of players, which was 4. But say because the other players supported him, they gave them 2 out of the 4 and they kept the other 2 for themselves. Now there's a few extra rules at the end of the round. The most important one is you can only have 8 cards in your hand at the end of every round. And if you have more, you have to discard down to 8. The other special rules are for the player that's the regent for the next round. And the first rule is because you are the one in charge, you decide the winner of all
ties, which is pretty good too. And you start off, no one can take your house at the beginning of the next round as well.
But the disadvantage is, whenever there's instability in the realm, whenever houses change hands, the regent has to discard a card to manage the disorder in the realm. And another bonus is that instead of playing 1 card face up and 2 cards face down, the king can play an extra card face down, which is the extra garrison that the royalty has for this round.
As it were. Which is a bit of fun. Now, we kept hearing about all those promises you could make to people, yeah? So let's think about the spoils. You get extra cards. Everyone likes having extra cards, so you're more powerful. But here's the kicker. You've got to give all your supporters at least 1 card. So it's a bit of a trade-off. And quite often, if someone's helped you out a lot, you might want to give them a few more. So, as the regent, you can promise to give people as many cards as you want. The possibilities are endless. But here's the thing. You don't need to follow through with your promises. So, feel free to go wild and see how well you can play off against each other.
And one last point. We said that there were 3 types of event cards over here. We saw the first 2 in the battle, which was the good event cards, which don't have any symbol on them, and you put them in your army. And there were the bad event cards with the red dagger, you put them in your enemy's army. The third type of event cards have these gauntlets on them, these blue gauntlets. And they get played during the influence phase, which is where you're bidding for houses. And they usually have a special ability for how the politics or how the houses are distributed for that round. So we keep on doing this until one player has at least 9 points and is wearing the crown, and then they are a successful regent and they have established their legitimacy and they take the crown for good.
I'm getting rather tired, so we're going to wrap this one up fairly soon. Nevertheless, what else should I be telling you? Influence cards, stuff it. I'm way too tired. Let's leave it there, and hopefully I've helped you out learning more about Rain. All the best.